Good morning. It's Jacqueline JW Van Minimal. Of course, I'm getting ready to do my 30 minutes. So, come on with me. Jacqueline here. I'm in the building, so out of here. Morning, ladies. Morning. Okay, I'm outside now. I can speak. So, how you guys doing? I'm gonna sit here for a minute and talk about a couple of things. Thank you for joining me today. So, basically, I wanted to make sure that I keep you guys informed on my challenge wellness plan, the item that I decided I was gonna do for sure, which is my 30 minutes. And I'm gonna do it today before I go into work so I can get it out of the way. And I want to interrupt this regularly scheduled activity to talk about something that some of you may understand and some of you may not. So I consider myself an empath or a sensitive or highly sensitive individual. And first of all, real quickly, I'm trifling because I need a tripod. I had a selfie stick. I have a tripod, but it's for my camera. And I had a selfie stick and that thing broke. My niece bought it for me a couple Christmases ago, and I used it a few times. In fact, one of the videos I did with my juicing video, I used it, but it broke, and I'm often using my hands, so you get a little wiggling and stuff like that. So you have to kind of ignore that and understand what I'm saying. So basically, I was saying that I'm a highly sensitive individual. I'm an empath, is what I consider myself to be. And I coined that for myself years ago. I may have even been a kid or something, and I was watching Star Trek, and William Shatner had encountered one where it was this woman who actually could take on other people's feelings. But you know, that was the dramatic side of it. It's more involved than that. So that's what I consider myself. And I preface that by a story that I'm going to tell you related to what happened to me recently. In fact, it culminated yesterday during that program that I walked to it was just a program that one of my friends put together, and I'm sort of part of it. So a woman that I invited to that program was showing up, and I did not want her to be there without knowing anyone. So I decided to go, and then I'll go do the backstory. So when I was about 10 or 11 years old, I know I was still in elementary school, and I have a large family, and my sisters are older than myself. I have one sister below me. She's about 7 years younger than myself. But my other sisters are, 5, 6, 7 years older than myself. So when I was 10 or 11, my sisters, they were already moved out of the home. In fact, three of my older sisters had already had children. And so they had their own apartments. And one apartment that one of my sisters lived in, I have to call them and verify these things, was next door to some other apartment. So you can kind of hear everything that was going on in the apartment next door. And there were these kids that lived there. A woman, her brother. I thought it was her father as well, but I'm not sure, because I'll tell you why I'm not sure later. So these three kids, it was a boy. He was almost my age. He may have been 9 or something like that. And then two little girls who were 4 and 5 years old, I think. And I used to keep these girls. I used to babysit them. I well, I was 10 or 11, but I know I used to babysit them or keep them or do something with them like a big sister type thing. And I already knew how to take care of kids because both my sisters had children and I was like their babysitter. And again, we had a big family, and my sisters, like my mother, always took people into the house who were homeless or relative who needed a place to stay. So that's how we grew up. And when my sisters moved out, they also took in other people, like people who were homeless or needed help or whatever. So I was always hanging out at my sister's house just because that's where the people were. And I also had a little sister who was the same age as these girls, but I didn't really hang out with my little sister for some reason. I think she was like under my mother or something. She was the baby. So these little kids were in a terrible situation. They were abused and neglected, and our family often talked about that. And I think their mother used to leave the kids with my sisters or sister. I don't remember which relative. And they were always like at my sister's house, even though they lived next door. These girls, I think the kid to the boy, would stay there, and I would babysit them, or I would hang out with them. I would comb their hair, I think, because again, I was 10 or 11 years old. That was 45 years ago. So about 8 months ago, maybe a year ago, 6 months ago, these kids were on my heart and in my spirit. Like, where are they? I remembered their name. I remember their mother's name. I don't remember the brother's name because I really didn't hang out with him, but I remembered them very well. And I said, let me look for these kids because they're just in my spirit. And I went on Facebook and tried to look for them and didn't find anything. I don't know what they would look like because, of course, now they're probably in their late 40s or even 50 years old. So I went on Facebook and couldn't find anything. So fast forward about a month ago, and I'm kind of giving the story away, but that's okay. About a month ago, I was at work at the job, and this job that I have is to stretch me. I'm an introvert with extrovert tendencies, so I do lots of things to get out of that zone of being an introvert. I'm a public speaker. I facilitate workshops. I teach people all the time, but when it comes to the one-on-one conversation or the engagement of an individual, I don't got it in me. So, people zap my energy and all that stuff, but I just don't have it in me. So I'm not a talkative individual when it has to do with me not working. So anyway, and also my mother, God rest her soul, was a talk. I mean, I think she was an extrovert because every time we went to the store, she would make friends with people. And she would be chatting it up with like everybody. And I'd be just rolling my eyes like, oh no, she's talking to somebody else. Please stop. So I'm not that one. I would prefer to just not talk to you. Okay, so that's my personality. Anyway, I took on this position, this job that I have, so I can stretch myself. It's a direct, in-your-face promotion, cold call type of position where you have to like talk to people. Your job is to actually engage and talk to people. So that's why I took the position on, so I can stretch myself and do that. And where it's located is a lot of people are there at this place. And as soon as people walk in, we are approaching them. And we have to, generate a conversation with them. It's for people who are homeowners, and we got to generate a lead from them. So this one woman pops in, and I get it all the time. People say, oh, I'm not a homeowner or whatever, so we let them be on their way. But this one lady said she wasn't a homeowner, but she was actually looking to buy a home. And, I let her go on her way. But in my mind and in my heart, I kept thinking about this woman like, well, she really wants to buy a house. I shouldn't be telling her I'm a realtor on my job. But she just kept, the universe kept giving me these instincts to just talk to her and give her your business card, your real estate card. So, um, so I let it pass, and then it just kept sticking with me like it was stuck in my craw, so to speak. And my neighbors are coming in and out of the building. But anyway, so I saw her over at the concession place, vending place, buying food for her and the little kid she was with. I'm like, okay, let me mosey on over here and approach her, go get out of my comfort zone, which is what excuse me. Jesus. Somebody needs to get their car fixed. Let me mosey on over here, get out of my comfort zone. So I had a coworker with me, so they were doing what, keeping the thing going. So I went over, and she was having such a time with her food because she bought drinks and popcorn and all kinds of other stuff, candy, all kinds of stuff. And I approached her and said, well, your hands are full. How are you going to carry all of that food to where you're going? You need some extra hands. And then the little guy was with her. I said, he could only carry like one thing. What are you going to do? So we started talking, and small talk, because I didn't know how to, talk small talk, basically. I can talk politics and all kinds of other radical things, but small talk is not my thing. So small talk, and then, all the stuff. So she said, well, I think I'm going to come back and get the rest because I won't be able to carry it. He'll carry some, and I'll come back and get the rest. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can watch it for you, just so nobody throws it out or whatever. So she left, came back to get the rest of her food. And then I just said, well, you mentioned that you're looking for a home, and, I'm a realtor. Technically, I'm only supposed to be doing my job, but, I really would like to help you. So here's my card. And I gave her my card, and she said she was going to contact me. But the rule of sales is you don't just give somebody your contact information and walk away unless you don't want to hear from them again. So I said to her, well, why don't you give me your name and your phone number, and I will call you because I have some information that might be helpful. She gave me her number. I put in her first name and then where I met her. So that's my code on my phone. Like when I get somebody I don't really know, I put their first name and kind of where we connected. So I did that. And then when I got off work that day, I think I said bye to her. I was still at the job, whatever. And I called her when I was leaving the job, and I think I left her a message. I may have texted her, but I think I left her a phone message because she didn't answer. And then consequently over the month or whatever, we would either call each other or text each other. And it only happened 2 or 3 times that we called and text each other. It wasn't like we were chit-chatting on the phone all the time, because I wanted to actually tell her about the program that I walked to yesterday. So after we, exchanged conversations over the month period, we might talk to each other very sporadically. So the program was coming up yesterday. So I was like, well, I better do my part and invite people. It's a great program. I want to make sure folks come or whatever. And I sent her a text and sent her the information about the meeting. I told her I would, because some reason she called me. And I said, well, there's something happening. I'll send you the details. I did that, sent it to her. Then that day, yesterday morning, she called me and asked where the meeting was going to be. I gave her the directions, and I told her I would meet her up there. Now, as an introvert, I was like, man, I'm not going to this meeting. It's early. It's Saturday. I got to work later. I just want to lay in bed and chill out, chillax or whatever. So since she called me, I'm like, oh, man, now I got to get up because this woman I invited is coming, and I need to be there to support her in case she gets there. She doesn't know anyone. I'm like, okay. So I decided I'll get my walk in, go to the program like I had committed to going anyway, and to meet this woman who I had invited. So fast forward to the meeting, get there. She's there. We're chit-chatting about stuff. And in the conversation, she said, you look familiar. Have we met before? Because it seems like I know you. And I'm like, I don't think so. What's your last name? Because I already knew her first name. I had her phone number. And she told me her last name. I'm like, holy crap, that sounds like the little kid's last name that I used to take care of. And she told me her name. I'm like, I used to babysit some kids with that name. Do you have a little sister or big sister who's like your age? And do you have a brother? And, I just went there. I'm like, because there were some kids that was being abused and neglected by their family. And we used to take them in and I used to care for them like they were like, she said, I think, did you used to comb our hair? I'm like, maybe, you guys, they have little hair like dolls, like the dolls I used to play for. I'm like, I think like dolls I used to play with. I said, probably. I mean, yeah, you got the type of dolls I had. So their hair was curly and soft and stuff like that. And I used to play with dolls like that. And she was like, yeah, because you look really familiar. I said, well, the only people that I know with your last name, and then I told her the mom's name, and I told her sister's name, and she said, that was us. That was me and my sister and my brother. And then she gave me the whole backstory about they were taken from their mother later. And I told her I had been thinking about them for such a long time over the past year. I even went on Facebook looking for them. I couldn't find them. And I just wanted to make sure that they were okay, that they were not, they had a rough life. I mean, like, terrible for kids to go through that kind of life. And I know other people have. The last thing I remember about that family was there was a lot of fighting and throwing of things next door. And we heard somebody hit the wall. And later I found out the brother of the mother, it was their uncle who was severely abusing these children, had thrown the brother against the wall and broke his arm. And it was just sad. And me as a kid, I was like 10 or 11, but I had such connection, spiritual, sorrow for them. And I really wanted to take care of those kids me myself a child, right? But we talked about it in our family, like these kids are being abused and stuff like that. And that was this young woman. Well, she's like 6 years younger than me. But there was this lady who I just randomly met on my job. And I just had this feeling that I needed to connect with her. And fast forward to yesterday in the meeting, I find out she's the little girl that I used to take care of, her and her sister. And her family is just torn apart. Her and her sister don't speak. She doesn't speak to her mother. They were taken from the mother. She was raised by a foster family. But everybody's alive and they're good and not good because the brother, I guess, has mental issues or whatever. And she's estranged from her family. I did go on Facebook. She was like, don't contact my sister because we are not talking and it's just a lot of drama. But I did go on Facebook and find her sister. She gave me her sister's last name, which is not the same name. And I found her and I friended her on Facebook. I haven't spoken with her because I do want to honor her conversation. And I do just want to get back to her. She was the younger child, so I didn't remember her as much. I do remember her now. But she was the younger child. They were only a year apart, but I remember her sister because these were some meek, quiet little girls, beautiful little kids. And I always remember her sister hair being in a little ponytail, and I told her that. And I went and found her sister, and I found this woman who I took care of 45 years ago, and they have been in my heart and in my spirit for so long, and I'm so happy that I found them. And God in the universe is just awesome. So I wanted to say that just because it was just something that I needed to share. And, how connected we are spiritually, mentally, in our brain waves and stuff. So I'm going to get off to my walk because I need to get going on this walk and be committed to that 30 minutes. Today I am going to do 30 minutes. I'm not going to take you on a 30-minute walk. I'm just going to get you to maybe the park, which is a half a block away from me. And once we get to the park, I'm going to shut it down and concentrate and go up these little hills and valleys. It's a city park, again, so it's kind of like our Central Park here. I'm going to get my 30 minutes in. After I get the 30 minutes in, which is part of the wellness plan, you guys, you have to commit to doing something on a daily basis for 30 days and create a different type of habit. And my first habit is exercising and health and, you know, physical health. So I committed to these 30 minutes. And so grab my hand, you guys, and let's go. I may or may not be talking to you as I'm walking. I'm about to cross the street. And as soon as I get across the street, there's like a hill I got to walk up. So we won't be doing that together. But I do want to at least get you to the first front steps of the park where I'm going. So when I get done with this 30 minutes, I have to rush back and gotta watch for cars too. I'm gonna rush back and get ready for work. Push the little walk button. Okay. Get ready for work. And I also have a grant I'm writing for somebody, and I need to get on my job. I've been procrastinating. So, yep, we are at the front steps of the park. They're not steps, it's a little hill. And I'm going to do this, get my morning started. I'm not going to drink any coffee, I don't think. Maybe tea. I think I'll make some tea when I get back. And water, of course. And apple cider vinegar. So when I get back, I'm going to take a swig of apple cider vinegar, which always makes me dizzy, unless I dilute it with a lot of water. And then I'm going to start the tea, because I'll probably take that with me and drink water. So I'm here at the park. Here it is, some of it. You hear the birds. And the other thing I thought about for myself yesterday, when my thumb was in the camera the whole time, I'm being very trifling about not having a selfie stick. I had one, it broke. So next time you see me, maybe, because I don't like going to stores and shopping, but if I have to, tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, VEDA 22, tomorrow's the 21st. So on the 23rd VEDA, I may have a selfie stick, go and, force myself to go to a store and buy one. And I won't have to keep dealing with the shaking of the camera with my hands, switching back and forth. My arm has probably got some big Popeye muscles because I've been holding this camera the way I hold it. And that's it. So continue the journey with me. Thank you so much for being with me today. VEDA 21. It is Resurrection Day. It is Easter. And stick with me. Subscribe, like, comment, all of the things we ask you to do as YouTubers. We really appreciate you. I appreciate you. I am grateful. I will see you on the other side.